It is our final time with the boss. We thought we were doing this last year, seeing him on his way, but he will take his final bow on Saturday after the grand final at the MCG, ending a decade at the helm and a decade at the desk.
I don't like touching food that other people have touched.
Oh, you're a hygiene guy now.
Well, do you? Oh, there you go.
I agree. I don't want to touch
There you go.
It's what the AFL always does. Listens to everyone, then does whatever the hell it wants. So
That is the best line and the most honest line you've ever said. You were sitting next to Richard Branson on Saturday night.
He come back and say, "God, these chips are like $4.50."
He said, "Hey, I got them down from $7."
He came back with a heap of change and said, "The value here is ridiculous." I said, "Richard, let me tell you a story."
Will you have a Sunday session at the end of this footy season?
Yep. If you join us,
I'll come.
how long can you come for?
2 days.
Bucks, and I know you've got still a little place in your heart for Port. I witnessed that 92 season in person a lot.
Oh my God, you should have heard it. When you were going, Jared, you were talking about 1992. Yeah. It was like, he started sort of getting like jittery and talking, oh yeah, Fiachi, Tyler, yeah, oh my God, it was incredible. Oh.
You were speaking my language, Jared, let me tell you.
We have enjoyed a lot of good times with Gil McLachlan on the program. This is the last goodbye. He's brought the cup and the freshly minted footy from Sharon to have us in readiness for Saturday. Gil, it's great to have you back at the desk on 360.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. It's good, very good. It's a great week and we've got a great grand final coming up.
There was a lesson in public life today. You see Dan Andrews announced at lunchtime he's gone at 5 o'clock tomorrow. There is an alternative to 17 months on the circuit.
Yeah, it's been a long haul, yeah.
So what did you do with Johnny Farnham? Why did you hang around for 12 months?
I made a commitment to my chairman that I'd do what I said I'd do, which was...
Hang around for 12 months?
You know, I'd do the Tassie thing, the CBO and all that sort of stuff. I agreed to do another year, and I think it's actually landed really well. That's others to judge, but footy's great. All those deals are done. Deals is ready. I think it's pretty good, and it's all about actually the game, and I was prepared to do that for the game, and everyone would view about whether it's landed well or not.
Have you had that sense this has felt like a heightened September?
It's pumping like I've never known, and I'm pleased for that, clearly. It's not just the scale of the crowds or the thing, it's just the energy and it's like the stands are quaking. And I think it's for a lot of reasons. I think it's, you know, the build-up of lots of teams competing, the better football, the appetite coming out of COVID.
It's the people's game, football.
Yeah.
And football has not saved this city, it's rescued this city. Do you think that's a fair comment?
Yeah, I do. I think it's changed. I think Melbourne is back. I think football's played its role in that. And it's, because it's not just at the game, it's then in the streets, in the cafes, in the chat, the restaurants, the energy. I mean, it's just nothing else at the moment. Footy is like, you wouldn't want to be anywhere else in the world than in Melbourne this last month.
You tired? You look tired.
I'm good. No.
What time did you get up this morning? Or what time did you go to bed last night after the Brownlow?
I don't need a lot of sleep, Robert, you know that.
No, I know that. So just give us estimates. What's Andrew Dillon in line for? You would have got to bed at what? 2?
4.
Where did you go?
I was just talking. I was reading briefing papers for today.
Oh, you were not. You were not. What time did you get up?
About 7.
Shivers. Yeah. I was 2:30, up about...
You meet interesting people.
Yeah, you do.
You do.
When did you get home, Jerry? And what time did you got home at what?
A bit later than I would typically admit.
If I was going to admit to having a beer with one of you at 2 in the morning, which one do you think? If the audience would think, who would it be?
I would probably me, I suppose.
Yeah. So it just happened that I was having a beer with Jared at 2 in the morning.
Were you really?
And moreover,
why haven't you told? Where were you?
Moreover,
Moreover,
his wife, who is spectacular company and quite surprisingly outgoing.
Well, so where were you? Where'd you go?
I stood up on the stage, but I was talking to Greg Swan and Andrew Wellington at the end of the night. And
no, the bar. What bar did you go to? I've only got 20 minutes.
Well, OK, it was going to be a good story.
Okay, so
we had a beer, it was good.
Where? Which bar? Where'd you go, Jerry?
Doesn't have a name.
You went into a room. Went into a room. Did you?
It was more a private surrounds. Anyway,
Was
it invite only?
I feel like Claire was.
As I was the last to leave the room, there was 10 people standing there. So let's go and have a drink, and we found an empty hotel room, and that's what we did.
Typical.
Well, if you hadn't left early.
Oh, rubbish. I was downstairs.
The Brownlow,
No worries.
The
No,
Brownlow
you two
itself.
continue.
There's a push against the umpires casting the votes. Do you think that is misguided?
Yes, it's footy talk, it's passion, emotion, but it's... I'm leaving, as you know, and others, but there's just no way that's changing. There's just not... It is the essence of what the Brownlow medal is about. And whether the subjective assessment, this game, that game, that's all part of the thing. The best players were in the finish last night. I saw so many polls in the lead-up, or you know, estimates from smart people, had Lachie Neal on 32 votes and he got 31. This game, that game, the best 4 or 5 players were in the finish. Now, whether you know, to your point, Robbo, you could give them some base stats, but then you start getting into making decisions on stats alone, and I don't know that is right either. So I understand the debate. I just don't agree that it should change, and people talk about every 3 years when there's an outlier here or there. I was telling someone today on your thing, you know, my son banging on about Errol Gordon got 42 votes in the last 42 possessions and 2 goals, and that's all good chat. He also went at 57% efficiency, and you know.
Don't throw stats back at us, mate.
Stats don't count. Stats don't always tell.
I think it's fantastic. It was a fantastic night.
It was fun, wasn't it?
It was a really good night.
I had a meeting today with someone from another code and another sport as a senior person. They said there's just nothing like that, and it's, you know, it's because of the passion for our game from our supporters, and I think years of people investing in that night, and it's pretty special. Yeah, and it's gloriously quirky. We would diminish the award if we sought to undermine it. I think. It's one of those ones. It's good radio chat or whatever, but substantively, the people who know football wouldn't ever want it to change, and no, it will not change. So it's just chat.
Who else was in the room with you?
Oh, it was a pretty heavy room.
Was it?
Yeah.
Who? Give me 2 names.
Claire.
Yes. Claire and Jerry.
I hadn't met Claire before, and
I met Claire. She's
when you holiday together, how does it go? What?
She's a big of that family.
I was quite surprised about how energetic and forthright Claire was.
The North Melbourne side of things. So we had 2 coaches here last night, and the ripple effect of the assistance package. So you were busy. This was Ross Lyon and Chris Scott here last night.
I think the real question is if you put yourself in the hole, because there's been a lot of decisions over a long period of time, not unlike the Saints and other clubs, to keep going back to head office and asking for assistance. I think there's a bit to be said, dig yourself out.
So there is a mechanism of equalisation within the competition already. If you finish second last, you get second pick in the draft, and they've had that for a number of years now because they chose to go down a certain path. Well, the AFL pretty quickly has got to get to the point, in my view, where they just get out of the way and let the system operate without this blatant manipulation.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it is manipulation. There's compromises everywhere. Chris has been the beneficiary of father-son for years. Ross, Mitch Owens, Marcus Windhager are academy picks. There's compromises throughout the system. Absolutely true. So that's all just, again, be fair about it. There are compromises. And it's an industry decision when someone's so bad. Now, the point about it is, say, Ross's point, I think, was their own decisions got them there. There's no doubt about it. But I think statistically, North Melbourne are the worst position of any club for the last 5 years in VFL, AFL history. And they are a laggard. And for the benefit of all of the competition, we want all men to be able to compete. So, yes, there is compromise. Like there is, we make compromise for father-sons for certain reasons and for academies for certain reasons. Yeah, that's the system. So it's disingenuous to say get out of the way when you're everyone's been the beneficiary roundabout. Now debate whether it should have happened, or because they're not that bad, or it's too much. But
so part of the package was 2 future first rounders at the end of the.
And there's a caveat.
And there's a caveat. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the Kangaroos can't use those picks this year for a trading purpose, Or can they?
They can.
So if they use them,
they're gone.
What's the point of having a caveat on them for next year if they're going to
The point is right
use
now
them?
they have had a very poor season again.
Yeah, I know. We all know all that, mate. We know all that.
Yeah.
I know.
Let me.
I know.
Okay.
Go.
So if they actually then are able to use them and get them out of the thing and improve, great. They're there to be used. The point about it is if they don't use them and they are in the 8 next year as an example, they don't need them.
But they're going to use them, mate.
That's the point. Use them, get out of it, get better quickly.
It's a big suite of picks, and I'm supportive of help. I'm supportive of help.
So your point is maybe it's too much?
Yeah, exactly.
So then let's debate that. Then none of them comprise the first round. They're outside the first round, which is where everyone is comfortable playing. Because at 19-20, it's really about points, whether it's 20. And if you're going to do it properly. And that's the point, and that's a fair debate whether it's too much. But they have to get out of here because they're just an overhang on the comp. So acknowledge it. There's the picks. Get out of Dodge and come back and participate, and then not be where they are, which is not relevant to the comp. And so if you're going to do it hard and aggressively, and that's why it's what it is. Whether it's too much, that's a fair debate, but that's why it is a lot.
Do you feel you've done enough over the 10 years to return grand final tickets to the involved fans of the two clubs?
Well, there's a couple of parts about that. There is certainly more, right, than when we started, and we're trying. Work backwards. There's 34,000 going to the competing club members. Then the AFL members, there's 20-odd thousand seats there. They're of club support, and they are proper football supporter members. They pay their money. To not say they are members is wrong. The passionate, hardcore supporters are then through the MCC. People who are in the Medallion Club and other things, they're proper football supporters and members. So I just don't dismiss all them. There are 9,000 seats, which is a fair assessment to say, should those that go to corporates. They are people who pay their way in, no doubt about that, and I'm sure there are people there who are there for the day and are not what we're talking about, and that's a fair debate. But it's part of this ecosystem, Jared, where people, we benefit from money going into community infrastructure, GA pricing at $28, all the things that happen to keep it affordable, accessible is part of an ecosystem, and that's all part of it, and it's a fair discussion. Our issue tomorrow is Collingwood alone's got 106,000 members. The grand final's never really got onto public sale because it's so big and we don't have the seats, and we all desperately sad for people who miss tickets.
Is there any movement on Ron Barassi being, being remembered by the AFL? Are you still working through it?
Working through it. There is a recommendation that's gone to the Commission, but it's broader than that. This has to be something that's owned by everyone involved. It has to be owned by the family, by the clubs and others, and we'll get there. And no one would want to do anything that wasn't actually supported by everyone. I think it's a very difficult period. People are mourning and reflective, and at the right time we'll have an announcement.
So it will be hopefully before the grand final on Saturday.
I don't know, Mark. Obviously that would be nice, but I think everyone has to be in the right. This has to be done at the right time, and I think what the public would like, and maybe we would like, might not necessarily be the same speed as everyone involved in the decision, if that makes sense. It's hard, and I don't want to be sort of anal or prescriptive about all that, but I think you've got to go through the steps.
Who do you think will win on the weekend? Are you allowed to give a tip?
No, but I think the right question is who's going to score 14, 15 goals. And that, for me, I think McStay's a big loss. You can't write Collingwood off. I really don't know who's going to win. It feels great. I hope it's a draw. But the question of who's going to get to 14 goals, McStay looks challenging for them.
Can you believe how quickly and how magnificently football has recovered from COVID and from the defensive slaughter that the coaches imposed on our game? And the footy has recovered to the point when we get 90,000 in every final. The crowds are going nuts. Footy's getting talked about everywhere. I know we spoke about it earlier, but can you seriously believe what this game has done in the last 2 years?
Not to the level, I guess. I felt super confident, and I was out selling it all last year, and then we got going again really late in the year, and then the finals of the sort of COVID shackles and the COVID overhang came across. But this year is something else, and it's lots of things coming together, and then just pulsating stuff.
You love that word, don't you? Pulsating.
What do you got? What do you got for me?
No, you said it today.
I just couldn't.
Great word.
I couldn't. I've never
grandstand.
seen the grandstand sort of shaking like that, like has been the last weeks, and not just at Collingwood games, at Carlton games, at Melbourne. It's been fabulous, and it's great to be there. And I'm frankly thrilled for all our supporters that so many have had a chance. Their team competing, and that they're loving it because it's pretty important in a lot of people's lives, and the fact that they're coming in such numbers means that they're all pretty happy with where things are going.
Do you have a favourite part of Grand Final Day?
Mostly the end. The acknowledgement, I guess, here tonight is like you feel that the year starts in March and just slowly de-risks over the year, and when the final thing's presented and won, you can have a beer.
Are you two catching up again on Saturday? You're going out again somewhere?
I reckon it went so well last night, there's a chance.
Outrageous.
Where were you?
Well, I was with Rashudo downstairs.
You were down in the...
I was in the factory workers. You two, what level were you on?
It was pretty high.
What will you miss about your interactions with the chief footy writer at the Herald Sun?
The thing about Mark is you get a lot of views, and I've got my share of wax from Robbo, but I think when people truly care about the game and they actually are passionate about it, you forgive everything, because that's the reality of it. The people you don't respect is those... Sorry, I shouldn't say that. I love Mark's passion, the energy, and actually, you know what I've never acknowledged? You actually can change your mind. You actually listen because you actually do argue. You're arguing the point rather than coming with a preconceived... Yeah, so it's and I think someone with your passion should be the chief footy writer at the Herald Sun, and I've enjoyed this show too, Jared. And it's your yin and yang is perfect.
You and Morney, we've told you before. Only you and Morney have sat between us in 14 years.
Well, I'm not comparing myself to Warney, but it's
the right
spot to be here.
You demanded it, and Warney said we offered it to Warney, and he said yes. And you said I want to.
Well, it's much better like this. Anyway, I appreciate all the time I've had on this show and your very fair support of what we've done, and the show's a big part of the game and sets the agenda, and I think you do a great job.
How come you were on Front Bar last week and they asked you your favourite show and you said Front Bar?
Why didn't you say AFL 360? Tonight it's here.
Why didn't you say AFL 360?
What's my favourite show?
What's your favourite show, Jim?
AFL 360, always been.
Gil, it's great to have you here. Good luck finishing off.
Thanks, Jared. Thanks a lot. Cheers.